Welcome to the Red Cathedral. Come on in. The idea of this show partly was to create a sacred space that comes from us, that people can just happen upon and maybe find some time to reflect here.
It was really sick. I mean, Joe approached me with this concept and I was like, I'm your guy. I was like, Catholic imagery, chainmail, relics. I was like, I will be your guy, I am your guy. So this is actually one of the first pieces chainmail wise I've ever made. So it's with aluminum, which is what I used to work in. A lot of these pieces are aluminum because it's better for me to work with it sculpturally. And then this is actually the second bow I've ever made. And then Joe made this really sick cross for it.
Yeah, part of the concept for the show we had was to take the weapons Kat had already made and make shrines for them, as if they were relics from a saint or an angel or something. And this one we called To Pierce the Armor of the Soul. I was kind of thinking of it as a leftover weapon from the war between Lucifer and the angels. This, I think, was the first piece that we specifically planned once we had visited the space and walked around with each other. Kat, you had already been working on these, right?
Yeah,
they were already in the works.
I've been making a lot of daggers. In my time, it was pretty clear of when we wanted to do relics, I was like, oh, perfect. I've kind of been doing that. So it's pretty easy for me to create this. There were definitely more techniques that I was just more interested in doing for this project alone because time and materials are, very spendy. So I really wanted to show what I could do, especially for the show. And I've always wanted to do a sword. I'm sure if you ask people, they know that I've been wanting to do a sword for a long time, but I knew how long it was going to take. And I knew the complications that would come with it, but I still wanted to take a crack at it anyways.
Kat told me about these 3 pieces they were working on, and I was like, sick, I want to do a big shrine with those. And with the figures, I was partly thinking about icon screens, which are a part of Russian Orthodox churches that I grew up partly around those. And when you have a full-size painted figure that's about eye level or higher, it has a real presence. You walk by it and it's kind of tricks your brain into thinking that someone's there. So I wanted to go for that effect and have it be kind of shocking, as if there's suddenly a person in the room with you, even though you're alone. I think the narrative concept behind it, similar to the bow and arrow, is these are relics of some great story or saga. And these figures are kind of the guardians who are holding on to them in a hidden sacred place. And you found them. And now these guys are going to show these things to you. Why are they showing them to you? I don't know. You have to figure that out. This one is called Tabernacle of the Fields. It was based on this painting I had previously. It was one I had worked on before we started the show. But then Kat looked at the way the panel is constructed with this frame and was like, oh, I can embellish that. So the central figure I had made just thinking about the people in my past and in my family who've been a lot closer to the land than I am, and who lived in that cyclical relationship with the seasons and with farming. And that kind of comes out in the title as well. But I was conceptualizing it as kind of a portal back into that time and a reminder of how we're still connected to that seasonal, natural way of living, even if it's below the surface. And then you You riffed on it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these are all just like riffs on each other, but I always love how Joe like utilizes wood. And so with that, I can see that there's like so much we can do with that, especially like with nails, like we can like really like add stuff to it without it hurting the piece itself. And this is actually the first time I ever tried something like this. It just like came to me in a dream, right? But it just like made so much sense for this piece.
It also just looks like something you would find in a church to me. And it's not like one specific thing. It's not a crucifix or like a rosary, but you look at it and you're like, yeah, that's like a liturgical object with the things Kat added onto it. So I'm really excited to see my art in that context.
Yeah, this is the first time I ever tried beading. Like I've always been interested in it, but not so in a flat way, but in a three-dimensional way. And I was very interested in making pieces for gallery spaces, and this was like me being like, I'm gonna be in a gallery one day with my chainmail work. And this is what I made.
The angel. This is our gesture. Oh yeah.
Windows.
And the concept with these is that you're looking out through this wall and seeing the bay around us and seeing the islands. I was on San Juan when I started sketching these, and my friends from San Juan Island are the angels in the front. So I was thinking about the islands a lot, and I wanted to have a little shout out to the islands in the show, and the way that Bellingham and the islands kind of look across at one another. Yeah.
The location for these were on purpose too, because like when you come through the entrance, this is like the first thing you see.
Yeah.
To entice you to come in.
Yeah.
So, I was very inspired by this piece. Seeing how it's wood and oval, I was like, we can add so many things to this. And this is also the first time I like tried something like this, but I was like, we can make it. If there's a thought about it, like we can do this. And I was so inspired by this piece because I also was like, this guy's dead, like why? Like I felt like such like a draw to it. It was so void-like that I decided to make kind of like a story. Like when you go into a church and then things are on the windows of like a story that happened, but there's no words, so you don't really know what it means. And the piece is called Resurrection, and it's kind of to be like how to get like humanity back, and that's what I was inspired with this piece.
Another angelic relic here from a heavenly battle. This was the first cross I made before the other one, and I kind of thought of it as like you're looking at the sky or a scene or something, and then something rips open in space-time and you're looking into the void. So I tried to make it super matte and dark so it would absorb light and give you that sensation. And then we have Kat's weapon emerging from the void.
After I made the first dagger, I was like, well, what else can we make? And so I made the axe. This is actually the second piece I've ever made this way. I really wanted to make things that were more handheld. And so I explored a little bit more on that. And this is also where I started learning a little bit more weaves, so a lot more got into it. I got better at beading at this point.
I feel like this one highlights the weave itself. And tell me if this is wrong, but I feel like you told me one time, you were like, chainmail is actually a textile. And it really like changed the way I saw it. But I feel like it's really highlighted in this piece. This is a picture of John the Baptist, who in traditional Christian stories was beheaded, and they put his head on a plate. So I've always loved John the Baptist. When I was a little girl and I thought I was gonna be a nun, that was my nun name, Sister John the Baptist. Didn't get to become her, but I do still love John the Baptist, and I love drawing his beheaded face on a plate. I think it's it's a like fun, creepy motif that I have been in touch with since childhood, so it's kind of nostalgic for me, and that's what draws me to it. And I made this painting very simple underneath the chainmail. It's just like a really simple arch with his head, and then Cat added to it.
Yeah, I saw this piece and I was like, how do you feel about lots of blood? There's like a lot of blood motifs in this piece, in this place. And it wasn't until like the very end where I was like, should I stop making blood?
It's the Red Cathedral.
Yeah, it was like,
go for it. This piece on top is called Star of the Sea, which is a traditional title for the Virgin Mary. And Kat had the mask first, and I thought it was very beautiful and queenly, so I was like, oh, we need to put a Mary behind this.
It was actually like really cool to have you say that it looked like a mask. I was like, you're right, actually, like it.
Oh right, I keep forgetting you didn't design it like that.
No, but it worked well. I was like, yeah, that makes so much sense. And like, I think that's also like the point of the show too, is like you see it as something, like we don't tell you what it is, like you're telling us what it is. This is both the first and last piece that I worked on for this show. It was the first thing I started on when we were collaborating in the beginning. And then I thought, like, the more time had passed, I just kept like putting it back and putting it back. And then I finally, like, day before, like, finished it up. So it really was just like the frame for the longest time. But also, Joe showed me the book. What was it called?
It's just called the Gothic Cathedral. It's from
really
the 60s or something.
I took a lot of inspiration from that. Joe drew like what the arch was gonna look like, and I played off of that. And mostly you just wanted the things like the trefoil up on the top. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. A shape in many medieval churches. You'll find it everywhere. Also, again, Cat's pieces, you really have to come see them in person, so come see them. But there are like eyes incorporated into this, and like really beautiful kind of droplet flowers. There's a lot of really beautiful details, which is so fun because you see it from far away and it's like a really powerful statement. And I feel like the potential meanings become more complicated as you look at the details up close. And this, my friends found, shout out Rachel and Kelsey, in their garden shed. And they were like, we don't know what to do with this, who wants this? They're like, Joe, do you want a headless Mary statue? And I'm like, yeah, of course. So we were able to make this beautiful environment for the headless Mary to hang out in.
I was also really inspired by this piece. Like when Joe was showing me all of the finished paintings, I like grabbed this one right away. There's just something about it that I was like very drawn to, and also like it was just very spooky looking. And I wanted to incorporate some web to it, very like woodsman-like, especially because we were saying like, this is the first dagger I've ever made, right? And we were saying like, it can go on top of it, and then that's when this kind of just came to life. We like really collaborated on this, as in like Joe had like a really good idea, or I had a good idea, and then we would just play off of that, and it just all really came together so fluidly.
Yeah. Sorry.
It was also, I mean, it was a cool platform for your bigger pieces, because your pieces are like so often highlighted by people wearing them. But this was a nice space to show off the things Kat has made that are not necessarily to be worn, but just exist as themselves. And it was fun to make stuff interacting with that.
I think just the vision was so clear that when one of us made something, it'd be like, yes, that's exactly what I was thinking, or like, that's such a great idea.
Mm-hmm. And like I know what I'm gonna make to complement that.
Yeah,
like,
it
what
was
I'm gonna put
so
away.
easy. It was so simple, so easy.
Yeah, I think the collaboration point was like honestly the easiest point when we got together to brainstorm and like bounce off each other. And it helped. I found this process easier than like working on a big project solo, because when I would get stuck and then you would show me something you had made, it would prompt the next idea or the next step. So it was good to have that outside stimulus. We kind of would like to maybe do multiple iterations of the show and keep building up the inventory of things we have so it becomes more elaborate over time, maybe like in different spaces, but
Yeah,
we'll
a lot of
see.
things are like not for sale for a reason.